Hi, I'm Jason Sisneros, also known as the Bald Avenger, the tattooed guru, the king of the Misfit Nation, and a legend, baby, in my own mind. Always have to throw that in. I'm also the chairman of Anton J Global, the world-renowned consulting company that helps good people make more money, get more time so they can do more good. Welcome to the Bald Avenger Show, where we discuss hard things, big ideas, address common problems. What else do? We map out solutions, and we make fun of stupid shit, right? That is exactly what we do in this entire show. So I just wanted to kick this off tonight with, about a little bit about why I've been focused on this so much. Everybody knows out there in the world that there's crazy stuff happening, COVID, race wars, murder hornets. and by the way, I think that we've got some rats out there that are what do you call them? Cannibal rats. The world's going nuts. That's okay. We were already nuts. And so basically the world's catching up all to the rest of us in Misfit Nation. And I got to shout out to all of you in Misfit Nation. Those of you that are here, go hashtag Misfit Nation. Let everybody know that you are proud members of a group of people who has made mistakes, done your best to make them right, use that pain and use that story, changed it to your own, for your own power. And now you're serving the world without judgment, with grace, and also with your stories, right? That's what we're all about. The thing that binds us together is easing suffering. Oh, look at who made it. My love, Emily, she's in the house. All right. So I thought tonight would be a great opportunity for us to dive into what makes you tick. Okay, there's been a lot of self-analysis lately. Like when you think about all of the stuff I'm watching people in Misfit Nation, there's been a lot of self-analysis lately that has pretty much swung in the way of beating ourselves up, because that's what reasonable people, when we're questioned about who we are and what we think and the people that we hang around, and we hear things like systemic and long-term and all of these things, man, we dig in and we look introspectively to find out, what is it about me? Am I contributing to the problem? And look, we're dealing in the world where I think that there's some really genuine human beings that want to improve the scenario and want to change things. But there's also a lot of people that just want to blow it all up, okay? They just want to blow it all up. And we have to understand that those are the people that are pulling the puppet strings right now, okay? So tonight, I really wanted to spend some time going through a bunch of things so that we could figure out what really does make us tick, right? What makes you tick as the individual, as the person that's watching this show. And I'm going to come back and look at the comments and make sure that I address whatever you guys have to see and have to say, because I'm always interested, okay? But it's swung, the self-analysis has swung a little bit too far into the introspection and not seeing what's actually happening. So if you guys are out there and you're going, man, I'm looking inward, and the more that you're inward and you're going, you know what, here I might have had a little bit of an issue, right? Then people dive on that and they just beat you up. When people want anarchy, when people are Marxists, when people are in that mindset, they don't care. They don't really care about your introspection. They don't care how far you go to whip yourself, to be sorry for shit that you didn't do. They don't care they're just going to keep going and going and going and going. We see that with the statues. We see that with a whole bunch of stuff. You want to tear down George Washington, the one that made the country great enough that you could actually protest in the streets and not get killed for it. You could actually go on a show and complain about the situation. You can yell and call the president every word on the face of the planet, and nobody's going to throw you in prison, right? And George Washington, and then you have people tearing down Christopher Columbus, the guy that discovered America, who, by the way, there wasn't a slave that was brought to America that wasn't white for the first 157 years of this country. So why would you tear down him? He had nothing to do with it, right? So these are the things that you have to also keep aware and have a really solid base for who you are and what you believe, and what you stand for. And I know if you're a part of Misfit Nation that you are somebody who has already done a lot of introspective work, and you've looked at yourself and you've asked those hard questions, and then you started to build back a new you, right? But I'll just talk about when I was younger. I believed that the world's job was to adapt to me, right? Think about that just for a second. When we're young and we're full of vigor and we're full of like that we know everything, maybe you were that type of person as well, that the entire world had to adapt to who I was as a human being instead of me adapting to the environment. Okay. Now there's some things that we don't want to adapt that makes us unique, that makes us be able to change things in the world through the system that we happen to find ourselves in, instead of burning it all the way to the ground. And then what happens then is you burn it all the way down, and the people that were interested in burning it down are the people who will magically take power, right? And then now they're leading. All they want to do is replace the system that exists now. They just think they would do a better job. Okay? Can't blame them. I mean, it's not a hard deal to look at what we've got going on and see that that there's other people that are probably more qualified. But there's also been 200 plus years in this particular country of people getting it right in incremental progress, right? So I thought I was a unique flower that deserved all the attention, and everybody needed to understand me, right? It was such a selfish way of living, when the truth was, I didn't even understand myself. And think about that just for a second. When we're screaming the loudest to be understood, we've done the least work on ourselves to understand who we are as a human being. But it sounds great, right? It sounds great. So I selfishly claim that when things didn't go my way, the system was rigged against me, right? And the evil the they that's out there, they were out to get me. And I listened very closely to my friends and family that made it okay for me to blame instead of change who I was, right? Here's what I discovered, okay? That's what the whole subject of this entire evening is about, is the process of making a person like you. The person listening, the person watching, the people that are watching right now live, and the people that will watch, we're getting up over 100,000 downloads of the show. Thank goodness. I really appreciate all of the work that's being done out there in Misfit Nation to share this stuff. So let's get into it, right? What is the formula? What are the things that make you uniquely you? Oh, here we go. Okay. So number one, your environment. Where were you raised? Where do you live? Where were you born? All of these questions are specific to you, right? To you. We're talking about the process of making somebody just like you. I have my own answers, but this show tonight is not about me. It's about you. And thinking through what are all of the points that you need to pay attention to, that you could go back if you do want to have introspection, if you haven't done the work yet, if you have done the work and you want to redo the work just to make sure that you're set up. So think about one of the major pieces is the environment shaped you. I mean, if you were born in the middle of Africa, do you think you may or may not have some ideas about life that you don't have if you were born in the middle of Russia? And vice versa. If you were born in Russia, do you think you might have some different ideas than somebody that might be born in China? If you were born in Texas versus being born in New York, if you were born in California versus being born in Colorado, do you think that the environment might have something to do with our thought processes? Yes or no, right? What else? So as you think about that, this is going to be a great one for you to take, just jot little notes and then come back and maybe revisit it, because I want you to think about that. We in Misfit Nation, we're about changing the world. And the only way that we're going to change the world is when we're changing ourselves, when we have done the work on ourselves, so that when the attacks come, and you guys are watching me be attacked left and right on different channels and different platforms, because I'm speaking my mind. I know who I am. Right? I know that my environment shifted me, right? And at the end, when I kick out to the wrap up, I'm going to give you some really powerful takeaways for you to understand as you're going through this. But what this world needs right now is for you to stand strong in who you are and call right, right, and wrong, wrong. That's what this is all about, okay? So the next thing that makes somebody like you, your experiences. There's no two people on the face of the planet that have had the same sequence of experiences that have happened to you in your lifetime, right? And so as you're looking at yourself, be gentle on your own experiences and look at them and through the lens of how might my experiences have caused me to believe the way that I believe currently, right? Very, very important question for you to ask yourself, right? And then we're going to get into, again, the wrap-up's going to be very strong this evening, all right? Number 3, your fears. As you're sitting there listening to this, what programs you, what makes you you, what makes you uniquely you from somebody that you're sitting next to, the person you're married to, your brother, your twin, right? What are your fears as opposed to their fears, right? But dig in and say, what are your fears? Your fears also design and help with this algorithm of who you are, right? Your hopes. Obviously, okay? As you dig through this and you start to see this formula start to come together, you start to go, oh, okay, I'm my environment, right? I'm my experiences, I'm my fears, I'm my hopes, right? These things all make up the thing that is you, your hopes, your failures. Think about it's really interesting as I was putting together this list, the introspection that I experienced of how my failures, both early in life, middle way through life, and last week, right? This morning, right? The failures that I've had, and how they've shaped me and how they've shaped my belief system and how they've shaped my actions, right? My failures. How about yours? And you can't have failures without successes. Your successes make you uniquely you as well. There's nobody that has gone through life exactly how you have gone through life and had the same successes, the same failures, the same hopes, the same fears, the same experiences or the same environment. You're very unique. Okay? What about this? What about this? What about your family? I mean, I know my family makes me really unique, right? How about yours? When you think about your mom, when you think about your dad, when you think about the dad you didn't have, when you think about the mom that you don't have, when you think about the two that together, the two that got married and then divorced, the parents that you had that got married, divorced, and both of them married other people. Maybe they divorced other people and you've had 2 or 3 dads, 2 or 3 moms. Whatever your experience is, your family, your brother, your cousin, your nephew, your whatever, your family is very unique to you, right? What else makes us, it goes into the process of making you you? Your friends. Again, throughout your lifetime, some people you've outgrown, some people have outgrown you. You've had black, you've had white, you've had gay, you've had straight, you've had married, you've had single. Your friends have also made you uniquely who you are. All of these things are part of the algorithm that makes up whatever your name is. Okay? What else? Your education, right? Some of us have had great educations and some of us haven't, right? I basically dropped out of high school when in 11th grade. I don't know if I dropped out or I just was so drunk most of the time that I forgot to go, whatever it was, but my education, right? And then my education after that, when I decided, you know what, I've got to start to change things. So I started reading books. Education is virtually free, right? Education is virtually free. And so I started to realize that, and I'm like, oh my God, I can learn from this person. I could reach back into the past and reach into Ronald Reagan's brain. I could reach back into the past and reach into MLK, Martin Luther King's brain. I could reach back all the way to Columbus and his writings, and I could read all of the different things I could read, and I could educate myself. I also figured out that I could stack in piles, right? If anybody knows me, Emily can attest to this, and anybody that knows me in real life, is that when I get interested in a subject, I buy a pile of books, right? Sometimes I buy them on my phone, but I'm still a page turner myself. But I buy a pile and I dive in, man. I immerse myself in that information. But again, not about me, it's about you. I'm just sort of walking you through some of the things that you can think about as you're figuring out this algorithm of who you are, right? And then we're going to get into, in the wrap up, we're going to get into why that's important. Okay, what else? Your choices. This is where everybody's like, Jason, this was a really good show until you had to put in there my choices. I'm drinking matcha green tea, by the way, this evening. Super healthy for you. Little boost of caffeine, because those of you know, I stopped drinking and I stopped drinking coffee and booze, and so green tea, that's what I drink now, right? So your choices. Holy hell, right? We got to think about, what's made me who I am, what's put me where I'm at, what's my bank account looks like, what my relationship looks like, what my health looks like. Those things, you want me to think about those things? Yes, I really do want you to think about them, because it's part of the algorithm, right? We all know that if something is programmed incorrectly, right, a robot can be programmed to be a mass murderer, or it can be trained to turn the screw that keeps your car put together. So yes, your choices are a part of who you are, right? Let's see. Yes, I'm going to be up late. Here's the next one, number 11. Your beliefs. This one is extraordinarily important for you to understand. Is that your beliefs, a lot of the stuff that we already talked about in the show, right? A lot of it that we've already talked about form your beliefs. And so as you go through, you think about things. What do I believe about this? What do I believe about that? Why do I believe that, right? Something as stupid as I like ketchup or I don't like ketchup. Something as important as I feel this way about marriage or that way about being single. Whatever it is, your beliefs. Number 11 is a major piece of the equation in the process of how you became you, okay? Number 12. And I believe this is the last one, but it's your actions. Your actions, right? Your choices may have been, I'm going to go do this or I'm going to go do this, but your body had to get into motion. You had to take actions. The things that you've said to people that you didn't mean in the moment, the things that you said that were rejected, the I love yous that weren't returned, your hopes, all of these things, right? All of these things that turned into actions in your life. These are all the components that got put together to make you who you are. And it's so powerful as you start to think about that algorithm. I would challenge everyone to go back through this. And I'm going to get to it in the wrap here, why all of this is so important and why I kind of skimmed through these a little bit, because you're going to go back and you can review this show and you can write down these points. And Kimberly, thank you so much for putting them in the comments as people come back and review the show on watching this. But I'm gonna do something that I don't normally do in my show. I wanna pause for just a second, and I want you to put up, out of all 12 of those things, just put in the comments for me really quick, which one stood out for you and why. Right? I'm gonna sip my matcha green tea really quick through. Oh, this is my love cup. This was given to me by Heidi Simon. Those of you that know her, she's been my friend for a lot of years. And that's what we operate off of, is love. So what stood out the most for you? And what was it and why? What was it and why? Robert says he's comes in waves, learn not to be too hard on myself. Helped remove guilt. I love that. Choices and actions. So Rayanne says choices and actions stand out more for her. And there's a little bit of a delay, so that's why Wendy says, my actions, choices, fears, and failures. Those 4 stood out to you. And just pop in why. Why did they stand out to you at this particular moment in time? Been working on these. Good. And I see a lot of people that are putting in, you're putting in your answers here. That's great. Look, at the end of the day, I just want to know what stood out for you and why. And we're going to get to here in just a second as we wrap this, as I get to the wrap, where, by the way, those of you that don't know what the wrap is, it's my one time through my structured shows that I'm allowed to rant. Sherry says failures, too many. Beliefs and limitations for Christopher Kaysen. Wanda says fears always ran my life. Anna says my fears are holding me back. Right? Why? They scare the shit out of me, Wendy. Straight to the point. Love you, lady. I get it. Like, these are all valid, right? These are the things that matter. Okay? So let's go through here just a little bit. And this is my opportunity to let everybody know kind of what we do. And then I'm going to get to the wrap in just a second. But those of you that are seeing what's going on, and I want us to spend a little bit more time. A lot of times I just run through these so that we can get to the wrap, because I'm so fired up. I'm fired up tonight. But what I want you guys to understand is there's some big things coming, right? This slide and the next one that I'm going to be showing you specifically. What we're seeing is a wholesale destruction of our middle class in this country, right? You're seeing a widening of gap between the rich and the poor, and the shrinking of a middle class. And those of you that know me know that my background, really part of my genius in life, I think, if you want to call it that, has been business. And as I've looked around the environment and I've dove deep into what am I going to do that's going to change this world? I've thought about going into politics. I've thought about different things. But what I landed on was us coming together around the idea of rebuilding the middle class. Now, in the olden days, right, you start back with Henry Ford, who was really the godfather of the first middle class, because what did he do? He said, he looked into his business and he said, I can make all the money in the world, but if I pay my workers more money, maybe they could afford the thing that they're building. And that was the start of the thought of the origination and what I've termed as ethical capitalism. Okay. Ethical capitalism says to me that as the owner, I don't just have the responsibility to take as much as I possibly can. I have the responsibility that when I'm blessed, that I bless other people, that I give people a hand up, that I help people that are in need, that I give people not just money, but opportunity, that I give them. That was the when I look back and I see these things, and yes, there's all kinds of stories about every single businessman that's out there, businesswoman that's out there, because we're flawed human beings. And just because you happen to be a multi-billionaire or a billionaire or a multi-millionaire or whatever it is, does not exempt you from the idea that at different points in your life, you're going to be an asshole, right? So at the end of the day, what I believe has been missing is the idea and the reward behind being an ethical capitalist. Somebody that is looking, and there's a ton of us out there, right? This isn't just unique to me. I may have coined the term, maybe somebody else did before. I don't really know, don't really care. But when I looked at what the problem is that we have a lack of that right now, right? You have $182 billion in the pocket of one man, Amazon, who happens to be, by the way, you can't pay your bottom people a little bit more money. That'd be cool. But while he's paying the bottom rung of the people in his organization, he's also got cameras and technology taking over their repetitive actions so that he can replace them with a robot, right? That we think that we shipped all these jobs over to China because it was cheaper, or to Mexico or to Thailand or to wherever we were shipping them. Yeah, because that's opposite of ethical capitalism in my mind, other than the idea that chasing profit is not a sin. Look, there's a balance here, and I'm going to do an entire show on all of this, but I wanted to stop here and talk a little bit about what this concept is and why I'm so fired up about it. There's going to be a project. You already know about one project, which is the next slide, but there's going to be a project about rebuilding our middle class. Now, if the Black community, Hispanic community, the Asian community, which they're already doing, by the way, Jewish community, which they've already done, by the way, the white community, the poor, it's the idea behind gaining equality, influence, power, a say at the table. It starts with the idea of economic strength. Okay. And so this is where I have a blessing, because I failed so many times, that this is where I've had a blessing to be able to help hundreds and hundreds of companies and my own. Those of you that know me know that I sold, a big, large group of my companies last year. And that freed me up to be able to do whatever the hell I want. I'm uncancelable now. But I wanted to stop here on this slide for you to understand that if you are looking, and I'm going to say this, I don't usually speak this bold. Those of you that have watched the show for years, you understand that I don't really pitch that much when we're talking, very little. But what I want you to understand is that if you have a company, I promise you could be doing it better. Okay. And I say that with the boldness of experience. And I know that this period of time is a great opportunity for you to straighten up your organization, for you to fix those things that need to be fixed, for you to get the underlying principles right. There's a lot of people out there that can teach you about sales and marketing and all. This isn't that. This is building the foundation for a company, right? You look at it. It used to be that the average company that was on the stock exchange was there for 78 years. I think it's shrunk to like 15 now. So there's a turnover in businesses, and that means that there's constant opportunity for you. If you could learn the underlying principles to business, what it speaks, the language it speaks, the platform that it sits on, then at the end of the day, you're going to be much stronger prepared for any change. You can go from selling diapers one day to spit shields the next, right? Cars to spit shields. That actually happened with one of our clients, and he's crushing it right now. So being able to switch means you understand the fundamentals. The fundamentals have not been taught. Okay. The fundamentals have not been taught. They're not being taught by anybody that I know that has courses out there. And it's like they took the history and the history book of knowledge and they ripped out a chapter, because we know that knowledge is power. And if they rip out that information out of the book of knowledge that says wealth is part of your freedom, then that means that there's millions and billions of people that don't understand the fundamentals of how to make it work. Now, we're going to be helping rebuild the middle class. Used to be you could do it inside of a company, but there's been an absence of ethical capitalism. And so we're going to the only way for us to build it back right now that exists is through small to mid-cap corporations. And we're going to be putting a lot of energy and effort. Please, if you have a company, just know you could be doing it better. You can have more freedom. You can have more time. You can have more money, and you can do more good, because that's who we work with. All right. So that's enough of that. But you can go here. You can look at the different ways to get involved with my company, Anton J. I'm the chairman. I don't work in the company day to day, but I do. I do have an organization that has been set up full of amazing human beings, and I still dive into some companies when I like or love the person that we're working with. So that's it on that. Okay. Now this one, CERT Ministries. Okay. CERT Ministries. Those of you know that we do the rescue of trafficked children. CERT Ministries started on that. Pastor Rudy Gonzalez. Those of you know him. You might know his wife. You might know his daughters. Amazing family. And they came up with the concept called the Slave Free Project. And Pastor Rudy and I have been going back and forth about what that means, that there's not just slaves that are taken and used in the sex practice. There's labor slaves. There's people there's women that are held domestically as prisoners in their own home. There's prisoner of the mind, right? There's people that are prisoner in their own villages because there's somebody controlling the food. And so we've expanded the thought process that when God is with us, who can stand against us? And this is going to be rolling out around August 1st. His brainchild, his family's brainchild, and I'm going to be doing whatever I can to possible to be able to support and to finance that. Now, how the first one links to this one is we're helping good companies so that they can have more money, more time, so they can do more good. That means supporting charities that are not controlled by the government, that are not controlled by power mongers, that aren't people that are out there trying to get a whole bunch of information or a bunch of attention for themselves. The people that I support, the people that will be part of this slave-free project, have been deeply vetted, and they're not in it for themselves. They're in it for the work, right? And they do that at the detriment of their own finances, of their own health, of their own homes, of their own vehicles. They do it at the sacrifice, which is what this world is desperately lacking right now, okay? What else we got here? Okay. We've got the Tommy gun. Go there. Go to OG Supplement. OG Original Gangster, baby. Supplement.com. Watch the video. It's something that I take every single day. Euphoria, those of you that wanted to build small businesses around around a really great concept, they swab your cheek and you get your DNA, and then they've got $100 million machine that dials in the highest quality products and supplements that are connected to peer-reviewed papers from doctors throughout the history of the United States and other countries too, by the way. And they turned it into a multi-level marketing organization, and so you can make money. And by the way, I calculated what I save every month, because those of you that have ever known me or walked into my hotel room while I'm traveling, I had 500 bottles, right? So this is saving me about $500 or $600 a month, okay? So it saves you money, gets you healthy, does all the stuff that we know you need to do, okay? So that is enough of those, right? Let's get into the wrap. All right, so what's the takeaway from this evening, from these 12 points? What are the takeaways from these 12 points? Number one, I wanted you to look back, and I want you to be proud of the fact that there's only one you that has lived exactly your life, and you're still here. It's a big thing for you to just take a deep breath, for you to step back, and for you to go, you know what? This unique me, I've survived. I've made it through. Right? I've made it through, and we have the choice, right? When we go back to those choices, we have the choice of how we want to define that. Number two, understand all of these unique experiences allow for you to make a choice of how you're going to define your life. I cannot express to you in an emphatic way enough for you to understand that if bad things happen to you in your life, you can redefine them as being a strengthening piece for you. And we're talking, I've seen this. There's no debate with me on this subject. I've seen women that have been raped by their own family. I've seen people that have been wrongly imprisoned. I've seen the depths of depravity for when other humans inject their control or their power or their despicable thought processes onto someone, and that person survives it and comes out full of love, right? And that's what I really wanted to focus on this tonight, because you see a lot of people, as I've gone on different shows trying to understand, as I've talked to doctors and nurses about the COVID situation, as I've dug and dove into the Black community to try to understand better so that I would make better arguments, so I could figure out where I could help, because ultimately that's all I really care about. Is I want to ask the questions. I want to get to the bottom of stuff so that I can be of assistance, not to be of someone that is of resistance. I want to be of someone who is of assistance. And most of the people that you see out there right now, they're there to be of resistance. They're just waiting for you to say the wrong thing, or for you to identify yourself the wrong way, or to talk to them the wrong way, because they want to resist, because inside of them is filled with selfishness, and at the core of selfishness is fear. At the core of fear is the feeling that we're not enough, right? And when you feel that deeply, it's a scary thought. because it challenges your very existence. Why was I born? Was I a mistake? Was I on purpose? I know that I hear so many times that everybody's born with a purpose, but I don't feel mine. I don't see mine. I've been abused. I've been taken advantage of. I've been poor. I've been broken. All of these things in our lives. But at the end of the day, we can take all of them and we can convert them. The greatest converter is the human mind, to convert pain into pleasure and to convert failures into successes. And we get to make that decision. I got to redefine my entire childhood of being raised by somebody else. Why? I went through the problem. Why doesn't my dad love me? Why da-da-da-da? Well, it wasn't my dad. It was my adopted father. What? Why? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, well, he came through his own stuff. Why? To make me strong enough to stand in this particular moment. I couldn't have done it without him. I couldn't have done it without being beat up all those years and thrown in my bedroom and living dirt poor and having to walk the streets with my mom to make sure that we had food on the table. I couldn't have done all of that, right? But I got the chance. It was my choice for me to redefine that in a powerful way that allows me to be able to show up as someone who's easing suffering and being of assistance to every single community, regardless of color, regardless of sexual preference, regardless of all of the BS that we're being separated by today. You have the choice. I have the choice. You have the choice for us to show up in love and to show up in service and to say, how can I help? And I do it. And you know what? 90% of the time, I get told, well, I don't have a plan. I don't know how you can help. Oh, so you were here just bitching. Uh-huh. Yep, pretty much. They don't say that. They just go find a way to call me racist or stupid, or I'm not a doctor, or whatever the responses have been. When I say I'm here to be of assistance, that's a real offer. And if you don't believe that, ask anyone in my tribe. If I don't do my best to show up in service, but I will not serve. When I dig in and I find out, I will not ever serve selfish means. I will not ever strengthen the weakness of another group or human being, right? I will not do it. If that means that I am unpopular, if that means I get called mean names, if that means I get death threats, if that means I get death wishes, if it means all of that stuff, because I'm going to stand in strength and I've got to be able to do something. If I can't do it, you're just trying to lie, manipulate, steal, bitch, moan, cry, all of those weakest tendencies. I'm not for it. I'm not here for that. Okay? So number 3, and once you realize that you have the power of choice, and as I've dug into, and I want to just finish this up, this comment, that as I dig in and I ask questions, what happened to you? Oh, I had this experience. Oh my God, that was awful. What else happened to you? Well, I had this other thing that happened to me, and this is race and poverty and domestic violence and all of these different things, right? Where I'm asking these questions because I want to get in, I want to dig in and figure it out. I am a seeker of truth. And there is truth, not just my truth, not just your truth. There is eventually the bedrock of principle and truth that you land on. And when you get there, it's irrefutable because you can't move any other direction. So when I dig in and I look and I'm like, okay, what next? What next? About the third one, it starts to weaken. And then very few people have 4. I've not found anybody that could tell me 6. Because at the end of the day, we get one thing in our mind and that's what we decide the world is. And so when we can create doubt around that thing that is controlling our bank account, our health, our relationships, our joy, our freedom, right? If Viktor Frankl can say, I was more free than my captors in a Jewish concentration camp, then there's pretty much nobody else alive that has gone through something worse than him and those people that survived that you can't get past and realize that your freedom exists in your mind. Okay. Number 3, understand, this is the last point. Understand that everyone you meet also has the same formula that you do. And it's sure as heck, the components of it are not going to match up to yours. So what does that mean? It means be gentle. It means display grace. They may not understand the power of choice yet. It may be you, the person listening, the person watching. It may be you that is the person that changes their heart enough for them to look and say, the way that I'm responding to the world is my choice. And you have just given that person every single bit of freedom that they're ever going to need to be successful. They're on their own journey, just like you. And I battle. You guys watch me. I battle. But I don't ever want to leave anybody destroyed. Even if my intellect or my knowledge or the information that I have can make somebody feel worse, that's not my outcome. I want to be the person that injects the idea into their heart or into their mind, maybe for the first time, that they have a choice. And that choice usually boils down to, I'm going to pursue a life of love, or I'm going to pursue a life of fear. The world rewards fear and victimhood right now, and we all know it. Misfit Nation is full of people who have decided to live with love. And it's a lonely, lonely journey right now because it's super not popular. But we will persist, and we will continue to ease suffering. I love you, Misfit Nation. Thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the platform to be able to say the things that I say. Until next week, Jason Sisneros, also known as the Bald Avenger, signing out. Peace.